Today, I just want to get into the sort of basics and the foundation of this class, right? And that is the idea of multimodality. I've been mentioning this word quite often recently, being multimodal composition. Now we're finally starting to learn what these things are, right? And what I want to start with today is looking at the difference between content creators and content consumers. All of us are content consumers. It means that we consume digital text that we find, right? Every day, like I mentioned in the previous video, we're looking at social media, we're looking at YouTube, we're looking at TV, we're looking at posters in the hallways of our apartment buildings, whatever they might be, right? And so we're interacting multimodal text. The point of this class is to teach you to consciously consume digital media, which means start thinking about it in deeper ways and start thinking more about the purpose and what the author's conscious choices were to create that digital text, but then to also transfer those skills in consuming towards your own creations, right? So you can be a content creator, right? And a content creator has all the power, as we read about, right? The one who is in charge of the communication has the power. Remember, oral language is where we sort of started our communication. Then it moved into written language, and those who couldn't write were left behind, right? Only the people who had power knew how to write, so they could spread word across lands far and wide, right? And now we've moved into the digital age where we have digital media that is allowing those who were only consumers at one point to now be creators, right? And so we've moved into this digital world, this digital age that is allowing us to communicate more freely. We have wider circles to reach. We can reach globally. We can reach our communication globally, things like this, right? So the point of this class is to get you from a content consumer all the way over to a content producer or a content creator, right? And that's where we really want to strive to be. We want to be creators, so we have the power, we have the control. And so how we do that is through multimodal composition. So in order to understand what a multimodal composition is, we need to learn literacy and language of multimodality, right? And so that's what we're going to do here just briefly, right? We're going to learn some of the terminologies, some of the language that are frequently used in multimodal composition. The first one is obviously mode, right? Multimodality is broken into these two separate terms, multi and mode, right? So using multiple modes to communicate a more clear, effective, and complete message, right? So mode is the style of communication that you use. We have 5 different types of modes. Those are the linguistic mode, oral mode, visual mode, the gestural mode, and the spatial mode. We'll go into those in just a little minute here. Another word that we have to understand in this language of multimodality is text, right? Text has been commonly referred to as just writing, right? Texting, these sort of things. When we refer to text in the multimodal world or in the digital world, a text is basically anything that communicates, right? A digital text could be a meme. A digital text could be an essay. A digital text could be a video. A digital text could be a digital narrative, or a story. It could be anything. So when we say text, when I'm telling you you need to find a multimodal text, when you need to find a digital text to complete your blog posts, this is what I mean. It's the file. And we're learning these things so that we can become multimodal literate, right? We have to talk about literacy when we talk about learning language. Literacy, in its most basic format, is being able to read and being able to write, right? If you are a literate person, you can read and you can write. But there are so many other styles or formats of literacy in the digital age now, right? We have to become literate in order to engage in a certain community. At this point, I am more multimodal literate than you are because it's the beginning of the semester, right? But you, as a younger person, a millennial, so to say, right? You are more Instagram literate than I am. I don't know how to like things. I don't know how to upload things. I don't know how to share things. I don't know how to do things on Instagram, right? Because you've interacted with it, because you've had that time and that experience with the app and with the program, you have become Instagram literate. So that's just one of the digital literacies, right? We're Facebook literate, we're Snapchat literate, we're VK literate, we are YouTube literate. These are just the platforms, right? But we're also video editing literate. We're also camera literate. We're also going to be, photo editing literate and these sort of things, right? So we're going to gain literacies, and what we can think of as literacies are just tools on our belt, right? If we have this belt on our waist and we're adding our tools into it, a hammer, a wrench, a screwdriver, whatever they might be, instead of adding physical tools, we're going to be adding different literacies throughout the semester, right? So I told you in one of my other videos is that we're going to be touching in parts of linguistics, we're going to be touching in parts of art history, we're going to be touching in parts of graphic design and parts of psychology and all these other things, right? So when we start engaging in all these different literacies, these are different tools that we can add to our belt that hopefully we will be able to use once we make the transition from content consumer to content creator, right? That's the whole point of this course, is we're teaching you literacies, we're giving you tools to transfer into your own creations. So let's go into the idea of the modes, right? 5 modes in multimodal composition so far, right? I'm sure there's going to be a ton more as this genre, this discipline grows. Linguistic is our first one. It's probably the most obvious one, right? The idea of oral, spoken word, or written word, or typed word, or word choice, delivery of the text, the organization of the writing, the development, the coherence of the ideas, all of these fall into the linguistic mode, right? Linguistic mode is going to be the one that we've used from the very beginning. Like I said, everything was done orally. We had to rely on our memories in order to tell stories, in order to pass on knowledge. It was all orally done from way, way, way back in the day, right? Before the written word existed. Then it moved into writing, and that's basically where we've kind of been stuck for the past, I don't know, 2,000 years, however long it is, right? I have no idea, right? We're stuck on relying or thinking that we have to rely on the written text in order to communicate effectively, in order to communicate completely, right? That's when digital communication or multimodal composition comes in and starts changing the game, right? We start leveling up, we start powering up, and we start adding in different modes. So linguistic is the kind of the OG mode, right? The original gangster mode. He started it. He's still working on it. He's still strong. He's still necessary, but he's probably not the most important anymore, right? The visual mode being anything we can see, right? This could be color, it could be layout, style, size, perspective, framing, any sort of videos that we're watching, any sort of images that we see, anything that is visual that adds to the communication of your text falls under this visual mode. Next is the oral mode. Oral mode is obviously everything that we hear. Oral, A-U-R-A-L mode, the oral mode. That's everything that we hear. So this, when you're working on your own projects, this could be music. Okay, Buddy has decided to come back and help me deliver the rest of this. Let's sit down. Music, sound effects, ambient noise, sounds, the lack of sound, silence is going to be a big piece of the oral mode, right? Not having sound really affects your audience quite a bit. When you restrict them from one of these modes that they're used to having. So the sound of silence is also going to be a big part of oral. Tone of voice, volume of sound, emphasis, accent, things like that. The fourth mode is going to be your spatial mode. Spatial mode is probably one of the more difficult ones to understand, but it's still not very difficult. It mainly focuses on like the arrangement and the organization and the layout and the proximity between things. So a lot of the spatial mode really depends on design in itself. So once we start studying design more, you'll understand more about what the spatial mode is. But spatial mode just means where things are placed so that it makes it easier for your audience to understand your message, right? So that you can communicate more effectively. The organization of how you've put things together. And the last one is the gestural mode. So the gestural mode is always going to be present if you have humans involved in your communication, right? So the gestural mode is everything that's going on here, everything that's going on here, right? Facial expressions, hand movements, hand gestures, body language, everything that's going on right here communicates something to you, right? If I were giving this lesson like this, it'd give a whole different style of communication from me, right? That if I'm just slopped back in a chair versus if I'm sitting up. In this video that I'm creating for you, I am using obviously the oral mode because you can hear me. I am using the visual mode because you can see me and you can see everything that's going on. You can see him. I am using the linguistic mode. I'm using oral communication with you, right? You can hear the words that I'm speaking. And I'm using the gestural mode because I do like to move my hands a lot. I do like to have facial expressions. I like to raise my eyebrows up when I'm excited. And when I'm mad, I put my eyebrows down, you know? So I do a lot of that. Right? So in this video, this is a multimodal text that I am creating for you using 4 out of the 5 modes. You could consider, I mean, you could make a case that I have you use a spatial mode as well. I have positioned myself between 2 doors here with a chair in the background and a cat in the middle, right? So there is some sort of organizational layout to my screen. Media, medium, and affordances, right? Media and text can be used, synonymously, right? They're kind of the same word, a media and a text. For the most part, they can be used the same, right? Media is the file itself, right? This video that I'm giving to you is the media. Any video you see is a media. You understand, it's easy. Medium is how my media reaches you as the audience. I am the author. I have created the media, and now I'm trying to figure out what is the best way for me to get my media to my audience, you guys, right? That is medium. So the transferring process, how do I get it there? The medium that I am using is now Telegram and Moodle. So I'm using 3 different mediums to get my message as the author to you as the audience. And affordances are the benefits that one medium or media has over other media or mediums. So an affordance of using Telegram rather than just Moodle is because it can reach you guys quicker. You have easier access to it. You don't need such strong internet to watch it. And I can upload a bigger file to my channel and communicate directly with you, right? Those are the affordances of Telegram, which is why I've decided to use them. So the affordances of Moodle is the connection to NU and the grading system and keeping everything in a centralized place, right, for all of our assignments and everything else. So media, medium, affordances. One example I like to use is, let's say that you guys just graduated or you just received an award or you know some really important event happened in your life and somebody took a video of it for you, right? So you have this video of you graduating or getting an award or something amazing happening. And you want to share it with your grandpa, your dedushka, all the way in some little tiny village in the middle of Kazakhstan in the middle of nowhere. But how do you get that message to your dedushka? What media do you use? I don't think it would help if you wrote out a letter explaining the video, so that a written letter wouldn't be the best media to use. I don't think it would work if you just took screenshots of every second of your video and gave them as a bunch of images to your dedushka, right? That probably isn't the best medium. So let's keep it as a video as a media, right? What medium then can we use to get this video, this amazing event that happened in your life, to your grandpa? And in today's world, I mean, these probably are things that we don't really have to worry about. Like normally, you know, you want to share this event with your friends, boom, send it on Telegram and you're done. You know that Telegram is fast, it's easy, you can send big files, high quality. But when your audience changes from people who have the same literacies as you do, right? You guys are in the same communities, you have the same literacies, you're interacting with the same programs and the same digital medias all day long. It's easier to communicate that way, right? That's what digital media has done. But when you reach out to somebody who's outside of your typical audience, outside of your community of people, this is what we have to more start thinking about. These are the conscious decisions we need to make. We need to think about as content creators, right? Not everybody is going to have the same literacy as me. So I need to think about what I need to do as a creator so that everybody can understand my message more completely, more accurately, and more effectively. So that's mainly what I want to talk about in this video, is just introducing some of the terminology, right? I expect to see this terminology in your first blog entry. I expect you to understand what each of these terms mean. I expect you to be using them correctly and identifying them correctly in your own multimodal text that you find on your own. Literacy and digital media can be tools for duping people, right? Trying to sneak around and trick people. Um, they can be used as tools to control people. They can be used as tools to supervise people. But they can also be tools for informing people, liberating people, and giving them a sense of control and self-worth, right? So you as the content creator hold all the power. You have to decide what you want to do with that power.